Man, what's good, y'all? It's another one. Today we'll cover the LA Rams. Big change. The Rams are, of course, getting Matthew Stafford back. Cooper Kupp should be healthier. But that's about all the good news I got for the Rams today. The Cowboys, we played them last year. Cooper Rush started that game, and our approach and our attack on that game was really being able to get after the quarterback, Micah Parsons and company. And I honestly don't see, I see the same type of game, but if Dak's playing that game, this has the potential to be a blowout. You don't want to call it fully healthy, right? Roster to roster. The Cowboys just have a way better roster than the Rams right now. They're far removed from just that Super Bowl win. That seemed like just yesterday. So let's talk about these Rams, and I'll talk to y'all as to why I feel the way I feel pretty confident against the Rams, all right? So again, we're going back to Matthew Stafford. He got hurt, as we all know, and a lot of people will tell you that the Rams are going to be okay because Matthew Stafford's going to be healthy. And he had decent percentage, completion percentage. But in the 9 games that he played last year, he only had 10 touchdowns, right? So that's 1 touchdown per game. So it just goes to show you how, that team wasn't playing too well. Yards per game, about 231 yards a game. So a big significant drop off. He was sacked 29 times, so that's almost 3 sacks a game. So the biggest thing about the Rams, they lost Jalen Ramsey. Bobby Wagner chose not to come back. And their defense seems super mid. So the biggest concern for the Rams right now is the offensive line. You have Cooper Kupp. You still have Van Jefferson. Both were great players in that Super Bowl run. But, if Stafford's not going to have the line to throw, who knows how he's coming off of that injury. I don't see a lot of hope for the Rams offense. Cam Akers, Van Jefferson, Tyler Higbee, Cooper Kupp, all big names, important players in that Super Bowl run. Even with Cam Akers getting hurt that season, he still came back to Super Bowl and contributed pretty well. But they have replacing, who was it? They signed the Bears wide receiver last year, Allen Robinson. He didn't fare too well. And Ben Skowronek, he seems like one of those slot Wes Welker kind of guys, if I'm not mistaken. But those weapons alone aren't going to be able to overcome what they have on offensive line. So what happened with that O-line, they did draft Steve Avila, 2nd round guard. You might be able to build pieces around that to get that offensive line back to a point to where it could block well and provide Stafford some time. But the Rams it's going to take a couple years, honestly. Let's see, Rob Havenstein was the only person that played all year. You had big injuries to Joe Noteboom, Brian Allen, Coleman Shelton, him and Logan Bruss. From what I was reading earlier, they'll be kind of in a camp battle for that right guard position. But big time miss Noteboom, Allen, Shelton. They didn't combine for a lot of snaps. I can tell y'all here in a minute. Let's see. Noteboom, he played 6 games for you. Let's see. Shelton played 13 games. Bruss, he played He didn't even have any stats, so that was probably a red shirt year for him last year. Let's see. Yeah, he was drafted last year, so maybe he just kind of red shirted last year. And then Brian Allen, that's your center, played 7 games. So No Bloom and Brian Allen had significant losses of time, injury, and those guys are far removed from like the Andrew Whitworth. They had another guy in there that ended up signing and moving away. So you're trying to rebuild that offensive line, and it's just going to unfortunately take some time for the Rams. They're not going to get it done by next year. So I really look for our pass rush to take advantage. I know Matthew Stafford can get a little happy feet, and he's going to continue to have these happy feet next year. Coming off that injury, the psychology part of the game is going to, I think, really affect him. So I look for Matt Stafford. I look for just those weapons around him not to really be utilized to a point because of just your offensive line. So I see our secondary getting a couple picks that game, maybe a pick 6. I see Micah Parsons and company getting 3 to 4 sacks that game. And so I think our defense is really going to take advantage of what they're trying to put back together there on the offensive line. Now, defensively, you have Aaron Donald. So I'm just going to kind of take a look at some of these other guys. Bobby Wagner, of course, left. Jalen Ramsey left. So we're going to take a look at some of these other guys and just see what we're going to be working up against their offensive line. Their defense. So we'll start with Turner, Brown. Start with Turner and Brown. Those are your two. That's your nose tackle and your defensive end. Let's find the other guy, but oh, there he goes. Okay. All right. Try to look for him, y'all. Kobe Turner, Bobby Brown III. Kobe Turner. I don't see Kobe Turner. All right, let's look at Bobby Brown, defensive tackle. Kind of like Bobby Brown. I wonder if they're related. Yeah, he only started 1 game last year for you. You had 9 games. Not someone who's been playing for too long, so maybe one of those guys going into his 3rd year that's going to take some type of jump. You're playing next to the best and Aaron Donald, so maybe he might take a little jump here, but we'll see. I cannot see Kobe Turner on the roster, so I really don't have any information to give y'all on Kobe Turner. I guess that's not the best sign in the world if you can't find those guys. Yeah, I don't see a Kobe Turner. So we're just gonna move to the outside linebackers. You have a Byron Young and Michael Holt. So let's check those guys out. Maybe I'm looking at a different. Was this the depth chart? Oh, that's the depth chart for this year. Young. Yeah, man. Where's Michael Holt? Well, they have him listed as a defensive tackle, so maybe somebody's wrong. Yeah, nah, 6'4", 310. He's definitely not playing outside linebacker. So it's gonna be a pretty short video, y'all, because honestly, man, the Rams, I mean, Aaron Donald's gonna have to like muster everything. Let's look at their secondary. Rochelle, Kobe Durant. We have 1 game started, 13 possible. Not a lot of production from that. See Kobe Durant, Jordan Fuller. So I mean that's kind of the Rams calling card right now. I'm looking at this depth chart on ESPN. Not a lot of time spent together, and so it'll be interesting to see how they'll have to like gel these guys together. Not a lot of starters from last year on that the back end of that secondary. They're just going to kind of depend on some guys to kind of throw them in there, and just so the Rams are in like super rebuilding mode. I mean, they mortgaged everything for that one championship. Russ Yeast is the other starting safety along Fuller. Again, 1 game started. So that secondary, they have a total of, from the projected starters, that's 2, 3, and not a lot of starts, y'all. Not a lot of starts back there. So they have 3 starts out of the 4 starters. Rochelle and let's see, Rochelle and Durant are the starting cornerbacks. Jordan Fuller, Russ Yee. So they have a total of 4 starts coming across on that secondary. I can't find some of the guys listed on the roster to even look up stats. So all in all, man, Rams in super rebuilding mode, mortgaged everything. They got the Super Bowl. I mean, as a fan, I don't know I think I might be fine kind of rebuilding and just kind of sitting on that 1 Super Bowl, but it definitely makes the present tough when you kind of mortgage like that, trade away all assets as far as the draft picks. So the Rams are going to be looking to kind of make something out of nothing next year. I mean, you have some of those key pieces, and this is where I kind of get aggravated with just the narratives of quarterbacks. And when you talk about the quarterbacks, Matthew Stafford got a lot of love for that Super Bowl win. But when you take away a team, right, and then you lose a lot of pieces, offensive linemen start getting hurt, offensive linemen retire, defensive players are, leaving, and you still, I think I'm hearing a lot about the Rams. Oh, they're going to bounce back because Matthew Stafford's healthy, but they're going to get they're going to pretty much get what they got last year. They're going to underperform, or in some people's eyes, going to underperform. I feel like, it's rational that they're going to perform at a low level this year because you just don't have a team around there, right? Defensively, all you have is Aaron Donald. Offensive line, you're trying to solidify something in year 2 of it. Maybe the continuity. Maybe these guys are going to have a better offseason together. So maybe they can be a little more solid than they were last year. They did have a lot of injuries. And honestly, that offensive line, you really can't afford certain injuries. You can't go from just solid to very bad players. And that's the position they're in. If they lose any of the guys like Notebloom, Havenstein, just guys that they're depending on to at least be solid for them. I don't care if you have Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford. That connection's not going to ever see what that Super Bowl run saw them do. So, yeah, man, LA Rams have a lot to work on. They'll be coming back to playing Dallas. So I feel like that's going to be a game in which the Cowboys should be able to handle very easily. The defense should be able to dominate the O-line. Gilmore and Diggs are looking great in camp. So just having that Van Jefferson and Cooper Kupp's not going to be enough. Cam Akers really not going to be able to run behind that line. Tyler Higbee should be able to be locked down by our safeties. And just overall, they're just not going to have enough time to get the ball out and make plays. Defensively, the only person that really scares you is Aaron Donald. He's getting up there in age. Don't know if that's going to affect him or if that drop's going to come this year. But he doesn't have really much around him to work with anymore. Secondary, linebackers, defensive line. So I say it should be an easy win for the Cowboys. Again, if you're going to be the team you want to be, then it should be an easy victory. But, man, we'll see. All right, so, good luck to you Rams fans in the future. But y'all have a lot of work to do. So, it's your guy, man. We'll cover next video. Let's see. Who we have next? Cowboys. So, after... Okay. That don't want to work yet. My Wi-Fi. But either way, we'll catch up with y'all. Whatever video is going to be. Next opponent. Don't have the schedule in front of me. But we'll get with y'all. And yeah. And then the Cowboys will be coming off a bye that week as well. So they'll be coming in after playing the Chargers. They'll take a bye. And they'll be fresh. And it should be a pretty easy win for the Cowboys. But you know how that goes. Potential trap game. So we'll holler at y'all.